Sigmas. You've spent countless hours refining your inner world. You've embraced solitude and you've learned to rely on your own mind, your own compass. You've mastered the art of doing things your way, quietly, resiliently, without the need for applause. And in that stillness, something subtle but powerful has taken shape, the qualities of leadership. Yes, you may not stand on a stage, you may not raise the flag or march at the front of the parade, but inside, in your decisions, your habits, your silent consistency, you lead. And yet, even though you possess that fearless capacity, you refuse to lead in the conventional sense. You turn down the position, you step aside from the spotlight, and you choose your path rather than follow the road laid out for leaders. Why? Because you know that leadership is more than a title, more than hierarchy, more than telling others what to do. And inside you, there is a deeper truth. Leadership is being the standard. Leadership is showing up. Leadership is keeping your word. Leadership is freedom with discipline. In this quiet paradox lies your strength. You can lead fearlessly, yet you choose not to lead by default. And that choice is not a weakness, it is a mark of maturity, of distinction, of high value. In today's video, we'll walk through 6 subtle dynamics of how a Sigma male becomes a natural leader, and 6 reasons why he often declines the role others expect him to accept. This isn't about drama, it's not about positioning or showmanship. It's about inner sovereignty, wise restraint, and real influence. If you've ever felt the tug between having what it takes and not wanting the role that comes with it, you'll find clarity here. Let's begin. Point 1. Autonomous vision. A Sigma male holds his own vision with quiet conviction, charting his course through life without waiting for anyone's validation. He moves with a rare sense of clarity, anchored not by social approval, but by an internal compass that guides him even when the path ahead is uncertain. This self-assured direction gives him the seed of fearless leadership. Unlike conventional leaders who often depend on group consensus or external affirmation, the Sigma's confidence comes from solitude and self-mastery. Psychologically, this reflects what behavioral scientists call internal locus of control, the belief that one's destiny is shaped by personal choices rather than outside forces. This mindset allows the Sigma male to stay steady when others panic, to keep building when others doubt, and to see possibilities long before the crowd catches on. His independence makes him a natural trailblazer, yet paradoxically, he refuses to impose his vision on others. He understands that true leadership is not domination, it's inspiration. This restraint stems from emotional intelligence and self-awareness. The Sigma male recognizes that forcing people to follow diminishes both parties. The leader becomes controlling, and the followers become dependent. Instead, he leads by example, letting his actions, discipline, and authenticity speak louder than any command. He knows that influence rooted in integrity endures longer than authority gained through coercion. In social psychology, this is known as referent power, the kind of influence earned through respect and admiration, rather than position or fear. A Sigma male embodies this naturally, often attracting followers not because he seeks them, but because others sense the strength of his autonomy. He is comfortable walking alone, yet his solitude radiates confidence, not isolation. He proves that real leadership begins internally, with mastery over one's emotions, vision, and purpose. In that sense, the Sigma's refusal to lead by force is not weakness, it's wisdom. He understands that people are drawn to light, not pushed by commands. His quiet determination teaches a profound lesson about the essence of leadership, that the highest form of power lies not in control, but in self-governance. By embodying his values rather than preaching them, the Sigma male becomes a living example of what it means to lead from within. A man who stands firm in his vision, unshaken by doubt, yet humble enough to let others find their own path beside him. Point 2, high standards without headlines. He lives by high standards: integrity, discipline, craft, and respect. That's leadership in action, even when it's silent. Unlike those who chase titles or crave validation, the Sigma male leads through example, not authority. His discipline is not about impressing others, but mastering himself. Studies in behavioral psychology often link this kind of self-regulated behavior to intrinsic motivation, the drive that comes from within, rather than from rewards or recognition. This is why people often find themselves drawn to his energy without him ever asking to be followed. He moves with quiet certainty, guided by principles rather than applause, and that's what makes his presence magnetic. In a world obsessed with visibility, the Sigma male's refusal to chase attention becomes his greatest form of influence. He knows that true leadership doesn't demand followers. It inspires them naturally. Researchers studying social influence call this the authenticity effect, where individuals who act consistently with their values, regardless of external validation, end up earning deeper trust and respect. When others see his discipline, his ability to stay calm under pressure, and his commitment to doing things right even when no one is watching, they begin to mirror his behavior. Without uttering a word, he sets a tone that others aspire to match. He doesn't crave the spotlight because he understands the difference between leadership and performance. Leadership is rooted in action. Performance is rooted in perception. The Sigma male is not interested in how things look. He's focused on how things are. That's why he refuses the traditional role of a leader when it's merely symbolic. He knows that power gained from image fades quickly, but influence earned through integrity endures. This mindset aligns with the concept of servant leadership, which emphasizes character over control. It's a philosophy found in both modern management studies and ancient wisdom, from the Stoics to the teachings of Christ, leading by serving, influencing by embodying. So he simply shows up every day, not to command, but to contribute, not to prove, but to perform with quiet excellence. And over time, that consistency speaks louder than any speech or slogan. People eventually recognize that leadership isn't about who talks the most or stands the tallest. It's about who walks the truth when no one's looking. That's why the Sigma male leads without leading. He doesn't need the title. His life is the testimony. Point 3, calm confidence in uncertainty. When others stall in chaos, the Sigma male stays calm. That calm gives him the aura and effect of a leader, yet he rarely demands a formal role because he trusts process more than title. He knows leadership is often quiet, doing the small right things day after day. What makes this composure so magnetic is that it's not an act, it's discipline. Studies in psychology show that people naturally follow those who remain composed under pressure because calmness signals control, clarity, and confidence, 3 traits that the human brain associates with competence. This is why even in high-stress environments like corporate crises or social conflicts, a Sigma male's silence commands more respect than loud authority. His calm mind processes situations logically, drawing on a blend of emotional intelligence and self-mastery. Instead of reacting impulsively, he observes. Observation is his weapon. He understands that the moment you lose your temper, you lose your power. Neuroscientifically, this stems from balanced prefrontal cortex activity, where rational decision-making occurs, allowing him to think when others panic. Unlike traditional leaders who crave recognition, he leads through demonstration. He's the quiet force who organizes chaos without claiming credit, proving that influence doesn't always need validation. History's greatest innovators, like Nikola Tesla or Alan Turing, embodied this essence. They didn't fight for attention. They led by transforming ideas into reality. The Sigma male carries that same wavelength in modern life: strategic, independent, and quietly revolutionary. His belief in process over position reflects Stoic philosophy, where virtue and discipline outweigh ego. He knows that titles can vanish overnight, but consistency builds legacy. This mindset explains why Sigmas often outperform those obsessed with control. They prefer autonomy, not authority. Their focus is mastery, not management. The Sigma's leadership thrives in systems. He builds routines, sets standards, and lets results speak. Colleagues might not notice it immediately, but over time, his calm persistence shapes environments. Teams stabilize around him, not because he commands them, but because his composure becomes contagious. In a world addicted to noise and competition, the Sigma male reminds us that real power doesn't shout, it resonates. His calmness becomes a mirror for others to find balance, and his refusal to chase validation sets him apart. True leadership, in his view, isn't about being in charge. It's about being centered. He leads not because he wants to, but because people naturally trust the man who stays unshaken when the world trembles. Point 4, deep respect instead of command. A classic leader often commands, but a Sigma male leads by earning respect rather than demanding it. His power doesn't stem from position or authority. It comes from authenticity, competence, and quiet confidence. In psychology, this is known as referent power, the kind of influence built on admiration and trust. People don't follow a Sigma because they have to. They follow because they want to. His leadership style is subtle yet magnetic, drawing others in through calm assurance instead of loud instruction. This contrasts with the traditional top-down approach where leaders issue orders and expect obedience. Instead, the Sigma creates an environment of mutual respect. He allows others to think, act, and grow independently, which naturally fosters creativity and loyalty. Social science studies on group dynamics show that people are more committed when they feel autonomy and respect from their leader. The Sigma instinctively understands this. He doesn't micromanage or impose control because he knows control breeds resistance, not productivity. By refusing to default to formal leadership roles, he maintains his autonomy and, paradoxically, strengthens the autonomy of others. This creates a ripple effect where individuals feel ownership over their actions, resulting in stronger loyalty and deeper follow-through. It's leadership through inspiration, not intimidation. A Sigma's refusal to dominate doesn't make him passive. It makes him powerful in a different way. His restraint is strategic. He leads from the shadows, influencing direction without needing to stand in the spotlight. Think of historical figures like Marcus Aurelius or Lao Tzu, leaders who guided through wisdom and principle, not ego. This quiet authority aligns with what modern leadership experts call servant leadership, prioritizing growth, understanding, and empowerment over control. In an era obsessed with visibility and validation, the Sigma's quiet leadership becomes revolutionary. He proves that influence doesn't require noise. His silence carries weight because it's backed by consistency, skill, and purpose. When others look to him, they don't see someone seeking followers. They see someone worth following. This balance between independence and connection is what makes the Sigma's leadership enduring. He doesn't rule minds, he liberates them. In doing so, he earns the rarest form of respect, the kind that cannot be demanded, only deserved. Point 5, the inner first approach. Before a man can lead others, he must first learn to lead himself. True leadership doesn't begin in the boardroom, on a battlefield, or behind a podium. It begins in the quiet chambers of the mind and heart. The Sigma male, often misunderstood for his detachment or independence, embodies this principle. He doesn't chase titles, recognition, or authority because his focus lies inward. His greatest project is himself. Every decision he makes, every habit he cultivates, and every belief he reinforces stems from a deep desire to master his inner world before influencing the outer one. This form of self-leadership, often called autonomy of the self, is a psychological state in which a person acts according to deeply held principles rather than external validation. Research in behavioral psychology supports this idea, suggesting that intrinsic motivation, doing something for internal satisfaction rather than external rewards, produces more consistent, authentic, and resilient leaders. A Sigma male serves himself first, not in a selfish way, but in a disciplined one. He prioritizes his growth, his values, and his purpose, knowing that a man who cannot command himself has no right to command others. He understands that the mind is like a kingdom, and the one who rules it wisely becomes unshakable in any environment. This internal focus often makes him appear aloof or uninterested in traditional leadership positions, but that's far from the truth. He simply refuses to lead from ego. His guidance doesn't come from a hunger for control. It flows naturally from competence, clarity, and calm confidence. Studies in emotional intelligence show that leaders who practice self-awareness and self-regulation are more effective at inspiring trust and loyalty. That's exactly what defines the Sigma's leadership: subtle authority, not imposed power. When others seek followers, he seeks mastery. When others rush to command, he retreats to reflect. This introspection doesn't make him passive, it makes him precise. He leads through example, integrity, and quiet influence. His presence alone can shift the energy of a room because it radiates certainty without noise. The Sigma male lives by the understanding that leadership is not a role to be performed. It's a state of being cultivated. Before he leads outside, he conquers the storms within. And in doing so, he becomes the kind of man others naturally look up to, not because he demanded it, but because he earned it through the unseen victories of self-discipline, consistency, and inner peace. Point 6, selective engagement. The Sigma male stands apart from traditional archetypes because his relationship with leadership is rooted in discernment, not ego. He doesn't chase authority for validation or recognition. Instead, he approaches it with precision and purpose. In psychology, this aligns with the concept of the idea that true motivation arises from autonomy, competence, and relatedness. The Sigma male thrives on autonomy, meaning he leads when his vision aligns with his core values and follows when it allows him to preserve his independence. Unlike the alpha, who often feels compelled to dominate, or the beta, who seeks direction, The Sigma male operates from inner conviction. He understands that leadership isn't about commanding others, but about guiding with clarity when it truly matters. He knows the weight of his ability, the scrutiny, expectations, and energy it consumes. Leadership, to him, is not a constant pursuit, but a calculated choice. He steps forward only when the mission resonates with his moral compass, when the outcome carries meaning, and when authenticity won't be compromised. This selective engagement reflects a high level of emotional intelligence, which psychologists identify as a key trait among effective yet humble leaders. His restraint doesn't stem from fear or apathy. It comes from wisdom. He realizes that true power lies not in being at the front of every crowd, but in knowing which battles deserve his attention. By refusing to lead when the cause is hollow or ego-driven, he maintains his integrity, creativity, and peace of mind. This makes his leadership fearless, because when he finally does lead, he does so from conviction, not compulsion. People naturally follow him because his authority feels earned, not imposed. His independence challenges the conventional idea that leadership must always be loud or public. Instead, his style mirrors that of historical introverted leaders like Abraham Lincoln or Albert Einstein, men who influenced not by dominating rooms, but by reshaping them with thought and depth. In today's world, where performative leadership often overshadows purpose, the Sigma male's selective leadership stands as a reminder that influence is most powerful when it's intentional. He leads when it matters, follows when it's wise, and walks alone when it's necessary. This balance between engagement and detachment gives him a kind of freedom most leaders envy. A freedom born not from control over others, but mastery over himself. So there it is, a quiet truth about leadership. If you identify with the Sigma path, recognize this: you may not need the title, you may not want the role, but you already possess the essence of leadership. Your vision, your discipline, your calm, your respect, and your inner command, they all point to your high value. And when you choose when and how to lead, that choice itself becomes leadership. If you found this insight helpful, take a moment tonight and reflect. Where in your life are you silently leading? Where have you declined the role yet still influence the outcome? That reflection alone begins the next level of your growth. And if you'd like more on this journey, on mastering your value, your character, your Sigma way, subscribe and join the community. Until next time, stay steady, stay sovereign. Having said this,